Okay, I'm not gonna lie, even though my About Me on YouTube says how I'm knowledgeable on a lot of fiction, I don't really know too much about Bleach. And before a lot of you start cursing me out down in the comments, I've watched the Bleach anime some years ago, and I've also read the manga in its entirety one time. I know the Bleach anime is back and I've already watched the first episode, so I'm begging y'all, please don't bash me too hard in the comments, and let's get started with the video. When I read Bleach, one of the first characters that stood out to me the most was Unohana. Out of all the captains, to me, Unohana was the coolest and the most mysterious one. And I ain't gonna lie, she bad as fuck though, like god damn. Anyways, I wanted to make a video about her because she's one of the characters that really does intrigue me the most. And she's a pretty underrated character in my opinion, considering that she doesn't do too much throughout the story. Also, before the video starts, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment for more videos. And without further ado, let's get started with the video. Something I need to clarify before I get started is that Unohana doesn't really fight throughout the story of Bleach. She really only fights one person during the story in the manga, and that person is Kenpachi. And so to thoroughly understand how strong Unohana is, I'll have to go through Kenpachi and all of his feats, since Unohana massively outskills Kenpachi in all of his previous shown feats before their fight, and only really becomes absolutely equal to or on the lower end of relativity to Kenpachi once he awakens his power, which includes unlocking his Shikai and Bankai respectively. Although because of him not knowing the name of his Zanpakuto and not having a close connection with it, and the sheer Ryatsu he emits, usually have people speculating that his Zanpakuto, especially during the earlier parts of Bleach, was in an incomplete or a half-released state. I'm not really sure what to think about this, and I don't want to really say the wrong thing here, so I'm just going to leave this up to you all in the comments down below. And just as a reminder, I'm talking about how strong Unohana is, and for me to do this, I can't stress this enough. I have to go over Kenpachi's feats in order for me to do so. So this is basically a 2-in-1 video, and I hope you all enjoy. To start off, we don't see Kenpachi fighting until chapter 103 of the manga. He proceeds to fight against Ichigo, who finished his training with Kisuke, and he states that Ichigo can defeat assistant captains, but isn't an equal to him. This is consistent as right after Kenpachi allows Ichigo to get a free hit in on him, and when Ichigo tries to cut him, he can't even pierce his skin. Kenpachi then goes on to say how when two spiritual forces collide, the weaker of the two absorbs the impact. So because Ichigo is much weaker than Kenpachi, at least during this moment, Kenpachi really doesn't take any damage from Ichigo at all. Ichigo then gets 3 different amps during his fight with Kenpachi. The first amp Ichigo gets is when he senses that Chad's spiritual pressure is very faint and everyone could possibly die if he loses. So he gets a resolve amp and proceeds to finally be able to slash Kenpachi when before he couldn't do so. He gains a notable strength increase, and Kenpachi also notes how Ichigo's reaction speed is excellent compared to before. The second amp he gets is when he becomes worthy of wielding his Zanpakuto and learns to actually get to know Zangetsu. This causes Ichigo's spiritual pressure to significantly increase, and this allows him to further slash Kenpachi and even overpower him. Because of these amps Ichigo receives, Kenpachi states that at the moment their strength is close, but Ichigo is just slightly stronger. That is before Kenpachi takes off his eye patch. Kenpachi also gets his own boost in spiritual pressure. He says how now he can use all the power that they consume, and Ichigo, after hearing this, also gets another amp in his fight with Kenpachi when he trusts and allows Zangetsu to use his strength and vice versa. Ichigo and Kenpachi then proceed to draw, although Kenpachi says how Ichigo won. The next battle Kenpachi takes place in is his battle with Kaname, Tosen, and Sagi. While we don't see the rest of this fight with everyone other than Tosen, he pretty much figures out how his Bankai works and stops it with relative ease. The next fight Kenpachi takes place in is against Nitra. He proceeds to one-shot Tesla, who was about to finish Ichigo off, and then proceeds to fight Nitra, who is the 5th Espada. The battle goes back and forth for a while and almost ends up with Kenpachi dying. He then uses Kendo and gains an upper hand until he's finally able to put Nitra down. Kenpachi's next fight is up against Yami, who was the number 10 Espada. Now when Yami fought Kenpachi, his Resurrection was activated and his rank of 10 turned into a 0, showing that in terms of his brute strength, he was indeed the strongest. I'm not here to say if he was stronger than Ukiura when he used his second release, but I can recommend a video for you guys from Clyde, who talks about Yami and his strength. His video on him is extremely good and gives a lot of in-depth information about Yami, so I'll leave the link to his video down in the description below if you all want to check it out. Anyways, Kenpachi and Byakuya fights Yami, who is beating up Ichigo and the others without much difficulty. His next battle is not really much of a battle, to be honest, but he one-shots Giriko, who had Ichigo's full brain powers, and the battle that really helped elevate Kenpachi to where he is to be the strongest is against Unohana herself. Unohana states that when Kenpachi doesn't have his eye patch on, his limit is clear to see. Kenpachi wants to enjoy the battle and not end things too quickly, so there's a limit he's willing to go so that he doesn't spoil the fun of the battle. Because of this limit, Unohana is able to kill him over and over again to the point where he regains his full power and kills her. She states that she's stronger than anybody other than Kenpachi when he has his full power, which should be true since he did kill Unohana without much problem once he regained said power. She was able to keep pace with him until the end, even though he was reacting with pure instinct. As to before, when he was still just trying to get stronger, he was actively trying to dodge her attacks. Now that I've talked about Kenpachi's battles and feats, we can talk about Unohana and some of the things that she's done throughout the story. Remember, Unohana hasn't really fought anyone in the story other than Kenpachi that we've seen, so we're just going to go over things that are miscellaneous, but are still worthy of mentioning. First off, she was considered to be the first Kenpachi, the title which is only given to the strongest Soul Reaper. And also, I'm just going to stress this right now because I'm pretty sure people might talk about this in the comments. But while yes, Yamamoto was for many centuries the strongest Shinigami, the title of Kenpachi was something Yamamoto never really seemed to want or really go after. And the title is also usually given to someone if they killed the current holder of the title. And as far as we know, Yamamoto hasn't killed someone who held the title of Kenpachi. There are a lot of different interpretations and things to go with claiming the title, but I just wanted to address this for anybody that was curious and might have wanted to respond to this. The next thing to note is that Unohana was a part of the strongest generation of the Gotei 13. This is impressive because this generation was said to be the strongest out of them all, including the current one. And for Unohana to not only be a part of this group of monsters, she also noted how she never truly passed down her title until Kenpachi defeated her. So for all these generations, she was still as savage and as ruthless as Kenpachi at his full power. And she was stated to be a master at countless different styles of swordsmanship and is extremely proficient at healing. Another thing is Unohana's Bankai. Her Bankai, which is named Minazuki, unleashes an acid of unknown substance that is stated to have high viscosity, which means that it is resistant to deformation and is thick and sticky, pretty much like syrup. With her Bankai, she was able to easily melt herself and Kenpachi during their battle and immediately heal them both with ease. And one last thing I would like to talk about is her fight with Kenpachi as a kid. In Unohana's own words, he was the greatest opponent she had ever had and was so strong she was on the lower end of relativity against him in their fight. Okay, so the rest of my audio didn't load in properly for some reason, so I have to do like a manual, like post-editing recording, I guess. I'm really sorry about that. That's pretty much the end of the video though. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, or comment for more videos in the future, and I will see you all when I see you all. Take care.